This is working. Yay!
Everyone. So to begin, I'm going to leave you with a little breathing exercise, but just so you know, for the next 20 minutes, we're going to start off for artists leading you in some group activities, but please feel free as you know if you need to do so to engage with the space and take this whole experience in different directions. This is about making everyone in this space feel an artist. So, we don't want to take control of it at any point. It's a fully improvised, collaborative ritual / performance. So, with that in mind, if you can just sort of feel comfortable in your body, you're welcome to sit or stand for this breathing meditation. Feel free to close your eyes or just soften your gaze if you prefer. And we're just going to take a few light breaths in and out at your own pace. Just kind of relaxing and letting the weight run off your body. And as you do so, start to open your ears and your mind to the sounds that surround us. A lot of what we experience and create today is centered around sound. How sound influences what we do and how we influence sound. So just keep the breath going till you find a steady rhythm. If you'd like, you can start to roll your shoulders a little bit. Up as you inhale and then down as you exhale. Always listening, just aware of everything around. And now I'll lead you in what we call box breathing, which is where we breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, out for 4 counts, and hold for 4 counts. So let's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3. And as this rhythm becomes part of your body, you can continue this pattern, this box breathing pattern. Feel free to make sound as you exhale, as you let all of the tension in your body let go. Creating this awareness that you're entering a new space with new people. You're opening yourself up to whatever's going to happen over the next 20 minutes, because none of us know what that will be. You're opening your heart, your mind to absorb what's around you and also create what's around you. Breathe in, hold, breathe out through your mouth. If you can reach your arms up as you breathe in. Create movement in your body because you're going to be creating movement throughout this space really soon. And then as you breathe out, let your arms drop to your side. And just start with your fingers to tap all over your body and wake yourself up out of this meditative, trance-like space. You can slowly open your eyes, start to wake yourself up physically. If you're sitting on the ground, you can start to come to a stand. And we're going to begin moving through the space at your own leisure. We've left a lot of objects around for you to interact with.
We're going to play a game called Positions. Everybody say positions.
Positions.
We're going to count off. 1, 2, 3, 5,
6, 8,
9,
10,
11,
12, 18,
yeah.
14.
Okay. So remember that.
16, 17,
13,
19,
17. What?
All right, one more time, just so everybody remembers. 1, 3, 5,
6, 8,
9,
10,
11,
12, 18, 14, 15,
16, 17, 19.
everybody say position 1. This is don't remember where you are, remember what you said, remember who's next to you. Cool? All right, everybody find a small group. Find a small group. Go. You want me to- All right. Everybody, who wants to be one? Let this group be one. Create a movement and a sound, a phrase, or a song. Brief one.
Hold on to this rose.
Great, all three of you. Can you say that and do this?
Hold on to this rose.
Great, that's your one. Y'all are two. Come up with one.
It could be any, I didn't even hear the instructions, sorry.
Let that be it. Okay, all three of you say it at the same time.
I didn't even hear the instructions.
Great. So 1, 2. Y'all are three. Come up with something. Come up with something. 1, 3, 5,
8,
9,
12, 18, 14, 15,
16, 17,
21. Hold on to this rose! Hold on to this rose! Eight, 12, 18, 15, 14, 14.
Keep going.
19.
21.
Congratulations.
Thank you for participating in this weird thing with us. If you'd like, I will lead you in a short little breath just to calm down so we can head on with the rest of our day. So again, you can sit or stay standing if you'd like. And sort of just shake it out. This very high energy game that we just played called Positions. I have all of those chants ringing in my head now. Singular sensation. Okay, and then just let out, in and out a few times. I feel like I cooled down in here, that I became really sweaty again. But to let out all of that dry deep breath, lion's breath, you can open your mouth wide and just breathe out. And then let's slow down our breathing. Close your eyes and just soften your gaze. Just listen to the sound around us fade away. Move back from all of that movement that we just had in our body, back to creating awareness of the sounds around us. Relax your shoulders. In your own time, you can do the box breathing we did before. That's a great way of slowing down your breath. You can do 3 or 4 counts in, hold, out, again. Or if that's too much, you can just move in and out. The best thing about performance art is that we come into these spaces that are markedly different from regular life. And art asks us, invites us to let go of whatever is going on outside of the concert hall or the studio or the art museum. Often take a step into someone else's world. So what we wanted to do today a little bit is to create this space here, this beautiful art installation on campus. Just take a breath, we'll do some silly stuff together. Maybe make art out of silly things that we might use in regular life, but also understand that anything can be art. Whenever you're ready, you can bring movement back to your body, open your eyes, and I don't know, smile at whoever's next to you. Thank you for joining us. aside for this convergence research if we wanted to collaborate. And I don't know, like we just really wanted to. And a couple months ago we said, let's sit down and figure out if we were to get together and create something interdisciplinary, what would it be? And our starting principle, because of Connor's suggestion, was that it should not be within any of our disciplines. And
Was
so,
Melissa's suggestion?
yeah, so we thought in the spirit of convergence research, you know, we'd really experiment and see what happened.
Yeah, and I feel like in the course of talking about it, we did a lot of talking and emails. And I mean, you know, something I was interested in was there's this. Have any of you seen the film My Dinner with Andre?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this section where Peter Gregory in that film talks about a beehive that he goes to in Poland, I think. And this was inspiration to me. It was sort of like, well, what could we do at beehive? And we couldn't, because you need like 100 people to do a beehive, and they have to be actors. So I think that's sort of part of where it came from for me, to sort of suggest this idea of, okay, what happens if we put a bunch of people in a space and we try to get them to interact? What will emerge from those interactions? How can we make this like a social environment?
And then Nathaniel had the suggestion of sort of amplifying what comes out of that and distorting it in some way, which is what you were hearing through the speakers. Though what was interesting was that when there was so much activity in the space, I couldn't really hear much from other people. So that was actually kind of cool.
Any other questions?
Could you talk a little bit more about what was happening with the speakers and the sound side of things? Because I didn't fully grasp that, and I'd love to hear the the technological side of it.
Well, for me, the high technology side was not from us. We were more like middle, low end, and the idea was to kind of get first the idea was to get a type of amplification like Chelsea said. But then later on we started thinking about like how we needed some kind of tension and some contrast. And so Connor suggested to Anthony that we distance ourselves from the sound and let the sound kind of echo on and on and on. The speakers were 4 channels, and they cross paths, so like the sweet spot was somewhere in the middle. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think like interface stuff and max patch.
Yeah, so all of the microphones were running through the software called Max MSP, which is a software. It's like actually, as John said to me, it's a visual programming language, and you can use it to manipulate sound or video or what have you. And so I had years ago been a novice at this software, and we thought it would be an interesting way initially to modulate or change or distort sound and play it back to us. We then met a collaborator who's not here, Jake Barron.
Yeah, Jake Barron, who's a composer at Rice University, and so he created the max patch based on what we were looking for in terms of adding delay, reverbs, and certain distortions. And the effect we wanted to create was a sort of swell, a parabolic experience of the whole thing over the course of 20 minutes. So it would start with minimal, I suppose, amplification and distortion of whatever was happening in the space. So that was kind of going on while we were doing the breathing exercise. There was like a very low level of sound coming out through the speakers, and then as we progressed through movement and interaction, the distortion also grew based on it, because we were inputting more sound through the microphones, and then that was going through a whole lot of max things.
So like everybody's actions really like contributed to what you did.
Yeah.
So it was like a loop based on like technology, and then based on human beings and whatnot, and then back to technology. So it was like a continuous loop based on what we did.
So will there be a product or an outcome, like will there be a sonogram, so to speak, or something that we can revisit, or that you will?
We did record it through the Max software actually, so that'll be very interesting to like go back and listen to, because that obviously recorded everything that went into the microphones, which will sound different than what we heard in real life. So I guess that would be a sort of sonic product of the whole experience. Yeah.
Maybe put it on SoundCloud or Spotify. You know, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would sound, I mean, I feel like in the space it was sort of difficult to hear exactly what noise was being produced. And so what we were doing was being run through this patch that was itself running through an algorithm that was creating a different sound. And what would be recorded isn't what was in the room, it was just that output. Yeah. So we'll see what that sounds like. Yeah.
So like we were like one big punk rock, hip hop, jazz band. Yeah, that's kind of what we did.
But also silly. I mean, can you talk about play and silliness as part of a collaborative practice? Is something sometimes academic spaces don't allow for or talk about, and that was fun and silly, and I think there's something worth mentioning or thinking about in terms of this historical moment, in terms of this place. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, or responses to how you think about play.
I feel like because one of our main intentions was for everybody to come into the chamber, come into the space, and be an artist for the day, and based off of these contributions, and these contributions being looped and echoed and reverbed and all be affected in some form or fashion. This idea of play, and specifically the game that we played, I think our main intention was just to community and gather and step out of our comfort zones in a way that we're not really thinking about anything else but the moment, the present, and everything that's going on in the room at this moment, in real time. And getting to just experience joy and gratitude and love and play, I think was a great way to land together. And I think that specifically with the game that we played, we were thinking about it maybe 20, 40 minutes before 6 p.m. 10 minutes before 6 p.m. So I think with that new contribution layered on top of everything, I think that would be dope to listen to afterwards. How did that affect the overall product?
And it was interesting, I think, to go from the kind of formless play that we had envisioned, which was kind of like, let's see what happens if we throw people into a room and give them like carte blanche to make sounds and you know, interact with objects, interact with each other, to then go from this like formless play to then a formal play, which was sort of decided, I mean, we decided it a little bit before, but then it was more like decided in the middle, sort of like, okay, let's do that. And it seemed to emerge, so the idea was to create I think, an environment where it could emerge on its own, and so that was kind of one of the things that emerged, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works, right? Like play and risk, right? All those things, for me, you know, my practice, I think about imagination, like highly, and I think the absence of imagination, I think, is becoming more leveled with the presence of anti-intellectualism. And so I think what we all done, even the thing that was planned or not planned, I think play became more of a way to kind of recapture or reignite that idea of imagination, right? Even if the things were maybe unintentional, which is a way to tap into like subconscious activity and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I took it. I mean, like, let me tell you. So the last, what would it be? Last scene, last piece. I had no idea what was going on. I walked in and, I mean, this thing was new, so you all probably knew more about what was going on than I did, so I didn't know. And I think, I like how that kind of chance happens, you know, and I think it kind of reminds us, like, especially now, I think it reminds us of, like, the innocence, you know, and it sounds a little cheesy, but like I believe in it, like the humanity that sometimes we kind of skip over because of like academia, I guess the bad parts of it, or day-to-day work, you know, all these things that kind of remove us from that space. So this is, for me, is like a place, a moment to bring us back to that place.
And also gratitude for all of you for saying just yes to everything. I saw some of y'all sweeping, Moses doing weird things, and it was a lot of fun. And then we switched to the game, and all we were in a yes, in a very loud and contagious yes that can be felt and seen all over. So thank you.
We talked about that a lot, that like everything about this experience was so contingent on what people who attended were willing to do. And that's, at least for me as an artist, that's a very scary thing, because when I'm a musician and when I perform, it's something that I've practiced. And you know, I improvise, but even then, like, the situation is highly controlled. And so for me at least, this whole experience of putting this together and having a lot of things completely out of my control and kind of let's just see what happens was new and like definitely a moment of growth for me. So, you know.
We have time for one more question.
Yes, Anna. This has been like
Yay, Anna.
your ultimate, you know, last final. Of your time here, do you want to just reflect a little bit on this experience and how it relates to your career?
That's a great question. I think that, well, one thing is on the surface interesting is that we started the year with a sound distortion experiment. We ended the year with a sound distortion experiment. They had two very different kind of affects, I think. And so that's interesting that a lot of people, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of artists, regardless of discipline, are thinking about and feeling similar things. And even like Nathaniel was showing me something that he was making recently that kind of like dealt with a theme or like an idea about art that I was thinking about in my poetry. And I don't know, so that was the coolest thing for me, is to see that regardless of what medium we're translating these like feelings and responses through, they're kind of, a lot of them are very similar impulses. And I thought that one thing I really liked about this is, even though it was sort of happening in the moment, arising organically, there was like a collective sense that, at least in my experience, of what felt right, and like that's kind of where we went. And that's just something I'm going to continue thinking about, what that means.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.